and welcome to the Big Fat Gay Podcast, where we talk about the things that are weighing on our minds. My name is Dan Laverio. I am an author, public speaker, and chubby chaser. And today, I am a sleepy afternoon boy.
I was going to say, you're bringing way too much energy in this room.
Yeah, this is a sleepy boy.
Yeah,
we don't really have the excuse, though. Like our morning recordings, we use that as our excuse for our sluggish mornings. But it's a wide open, wide awake, bright and sunny afternoon.
I tried to bring it down, but I'm incapable of it.
All right, Dan, you and me, we're bringing the perky today.
I'm so excited.
Yay!
I'm sure the key's on.
Michael's banging his head on the microphone.
I'm a super chub, and I really want iced coffee.
You should have told me. I should have told me.
I thought of it as you said, what's weighing on her mind. And my mind said, I want iced coffee.
I could have milked the beans.
Ugh.
That has to be a euphemism. It has to be.
It is now.
My name is Michael. I'm a chaser, and today I am an achy vaccination boy because I got not only my COVID booster, but my flu shot.
What were
yesterday.
you thinking?
Well, I thought I was being clever. I knew I was going to be out for a day. I just forgot that we were recording.
You forgot which
Because we
day.
don't normally record on Tuesdays. So I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll just do it. And
Well, not only that, but it's like after a marathon of Big Fat Gay.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've had
yeah.
a lot of Big Fat Gay podcasts over the past 3 days.
it's been a lot.
We
did an
recorded the
episode
last
Saturday.
episode. We did a video Zoom podcast, with
Self-care and
listeners,
share.
And listener, doesn't it feel like you're peeking behind the curtain?
which went lovely, by the way. Thank you to everybody who attended.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a hoot.
Well, who is this talking? We should probably finish our
Oh, yeah, we
intro.
probably should. Have you already introduced yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. My name is Don. I'm a big chubby guy living here in sunny Hollywood.
I told you it was Don.
Off to a good start.
I'm not paying attention today. I'm just too happy and giddy and all of the sunshine.
Well, we are fresh off our self-care and share, which is now available on our Patreon as
right.
recording if you missed it. We're also going to be sharing the resources we compiled. By the time you listen to this, it should be out. But like right now, my self-care is hanging on for a minute before compiling a list for y'all. We also this month, our mini-sode that we recorded last month about D&D will be out by the time.
Oh,
this is-
shit. I keep forgetting to edit that. Sorry, everybody. That's on me.
Yeah.
Need to set a reminder.
Set a reminder. That'll be out. And just so for our spooky Halloween episode, we are going to resume our new annual tradition of watching a spooky movie about fat and talking about it. And this year we're going to be watching the new film from Carlotta Martinez Pereda, Piggy.
Piggy.
Which is about Sarah is an overweight teen who witnesses a stranger kidnap a clique of girls who bully her on a regular basis. When police start asking questions, Sarah keeps quiet as she's torn between revealing the truth or protecting the man who saved her.
Oh, okay. Do we know what that's streaming on?
So it's going to be in theaters and also released on video on demand, which I'm assuming is like Apple TV, Amazon. I don't know where else people rent movies.
But the name of the movie is Piggy.
It's Piggy,
Yes.
yeah. And if you want to join us in watching it and discussing it, this is for the episode that's coming out on October 26th. So if you want to watch it before then and know what we're talking about, or you can watch it afterwards and just save the episode, we're going to be doing it for a spooky, spooky Halloween episode.
Okay.
Let's roll right in. You got to hit that button.
Let's do it.
Pound
All
that
right.
button, Michael.
We have a thing. Ah, God, that was so loud. I didn't know what to expect.
Goodness gracious. This is our pop culture intro, right?
This is
Yes.
our pop culture music.
And our little MC boys. I feel like I need to give you a blanket or something.
Or a thumb.
But I could, I guess, give you a blanket with this
a spray-on
first
blanket.
topic. So Dan actually sent this to the
This is
podcast
fucking
group text,
wild.
I love this.
and it is not necessarily fat or gay, but it should
it
be.
is.
It could be.
There's no reason why this couldn't finally give me the workout outfit I've been wanting forever.
So Dan,
okay,
take us
so,
through it.
I think this was part of Fashion Week, right? Or some
Yes.
fashion show. So the finale, if it was, as it were, of the whole show was this woman comes out completely nude. I think think she might have a
She probably
thong.
had pasties
She has
on.
she has a bottom.
She has a
piece.
bottom. But it's
Yeah.
very scant. You could miss it. And they spray her first with latex, and then they spray on her dress.
Yeah, and it's this sort of like almost like cotton mixed with spider web, like light, like threaded material.
When they start, it looks like a combination of like thick silly string that
It's silly string, yeah.
It looks like they're spraying, but it's more of a cloud of it. So it looks like they're spraying cotton candy,
Right.
as it's being made.
But here's
onto
the
her
deal. But by
body.
the time they're done, it looks like a complete, like a piece of fabric, like a normal piece of fabric.
and it hangs. So
it hangs, it drapes, it moves.
they
It's
sort
wonderful.
of shape it. They have two guys spraying, and then they have a woman who comes out and sort of shapes it for her.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, like she has the straps that they kind of like form them a little bit, and then pull the straps down under her shoulder to kind of make it a little more couture.
You would
and
never guess this had been sprayed on, or it was in any way an aerosol garment.
It was pretty incredible.
I don't know if any of you saw it, but Brian Fuller came out with a version of the Munsters about like 10 years ago.
Yes, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
When Lily
Yes.
Munster is introduced, she's played by Portia de Rossi.
Oh, yeah.
She comes out, she puts her arms up, and she's stark naked, and all of these spiders come down from the rafters and weave a dress around her in the opening. It was just like
That's
that.
where they got the idea.
Well, okay, so this is why it's on brand for us. Of all the times I have helped Trevor with various articles of clothing and shoe wear, I would totally do this. Like if I could just spray on the garment.
Oh, that yes, please.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. I think I know many fat people of all
This is a super chub's dream.
yes, all sizes, all shapes that would love to just have their clothing sprayed on and give it a little tuck adjustment.
And it's not like binding. It's not tight. It's I
No.
mean it's
I want to know what it feels
It's
like.
form
honestly.
fitting but loose.
yeah.
Like,
it didn't look like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a balloon or latex or anything like that.
like literally, I have gone to Halloween events with people who've literally painted their costumes on with latex.
Yeah.
Did not look like that.
not at all. No, this had
know?
drape. This had line. This
Yeah.
had movement in the skirt.
We have a video of this. It's on YouTube. And so
Yeah.
I highly recommend you check it out because it's the only way to really get the full experience of it.
Absolutely.
Like you just have to see them do it. And it's kind of insane. It's because when they're first spraying it on, you're kind of like, what the fuck?
But
There's
we-
like all these wisps going through the air. And you're just like, well, this isn't going to work. And then by the end, she's wearing like this beautiful cocktail dress.
I should caution listeners, you will want one.
I like to imagine that how this works is at the end of the day, she takes it off and like crumples it up and like puts it in this machine that loads back into the gun.
Wow,
I'd
that's
dream.
actually a good point. It could be recyclable.
It could
I
be.
wonder if they
It probably isn't.
It probably
It's probably
isn't.
the
But
most
how
like
cool would that be? It would be like the ultimate in disposable clothing.
No.
I wonder if they have colors. I wonder if that would like stain your skin if there was a color versus because hers is white.
Hers is white, I think just so it shows up, but who knows why.
Well, anyway, super cool and fun and weird and wild, and technology is growing every single day.
We're living in
Yeah.
the future, people.
Now that we got your hopes up. In true pop culture fiction, it's time to. I don't know. I think this is like
It's a mixed
it's something. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think it's either good or bad.
I've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
People before me have been saying this for years.
From the New York Times. Shot reader, sit down, please, so you don't fall, because medical care alone won't halt the spread of diabetes.
Bum, bum,
scientists
bum.
says.
Study says, like
Yes.
it's a study now. So, water is wet and,
It's almost as if human physiology is very complex and that we don't have a full grasp or understanding of how things happen in the body and why they happen.
People who have resources and access to
Yeah.
care are more likely to have better health. Like, what a shock.
but there are so many other predictors, like not just access to healthcare, but money and stressors and just so much stuff that is that people don't, because all people know about diabetes is fat people and sugar. That's all they think about.
Yeah.
And it's so not that. Even the American Diabetes Association has on their website, like, you can't give yourself diabetes.
I would go, it's beyond just sugar, because it's like, if something is perceived as fattening, it's like, well, I can't eat that because I'll get diabetes.
Well, no, but it's first you'll get fat, then you'll get diabetes.
Yes. I feel like it's not even get fat. It's just,
Well, if you're thin, I don't think thin people.
I think what Dan's saying is accurate in my experience. simply because people assume that being fat is a step towards diabetes.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's just
I guess.
it's a waypoint on your journey to unwellness.
Yeah, I mean, you see, if a fat person is eating a salad, they're like, well, I guess you've put off diabetes a day. It's just this maniacal nonsense. And the whole point of the study is, no, that's not actually scientifically true. But
I think-
demonstrably false.
Honestly, I think one of the big issues with actually tackling diabetes as sort of a systemic cultural problem is because just talking about it is so fraught. You know, if you're talking about diabetes, there's going to be a portion of people that are like, you can't talk about it like that because you can insult all the fat people. Like, it's not the same group.
Well, and there's also one of the other things that comes into play too is it's one of a set of diseases that is so stigmatized that to admit to it, to treat it, and God help you to get it is like, well, it must be your fault. And, what did you do against God to give yourself diabetes?
I liked this because it focuses a lot on the actual doctors as well. I mean, they have this quote: "We feel impotent as doctors because we don't have the tools to tackle the social conditions that people are grappling with." Which is like, as a doctor, there's only so much you can do by saying, here's the diabetes and here's what we can do to help treat it. But to prevent it requires more than they're capable of providing. And one of the cool things that some doctors and medical establishments have been doing is trying to provide the types of foods and produce that people who don't have the resources to afford them could get access to for free. Like literally just having like a little grocery for people who need it, that they could just like take the food they need in the hospital or which is super cool.
One of the things I've noticed is I get my drugs from a pharmacy chain called the AIDS Healthcare Foundation chain here in California, the AHF pharmacies, because they're not for profit, right? I like the idea of my money going to support, people who can't afford AIDS medications, getting AIDS medications. But one of the things that they've started recently is pushing into areas of the city that are underserved and then including a food section.
Oh, wow.
To try and basically combat food deserts in these areas where we're going there to bring you meds anyway. We might as well bring you some fruits and vegetables. So good for them. Like,
LA is a desert. I mean, it's what are they going to really fix?
I do want to step back from this idea that like, well, if you have type 2 diabetes, it's because you didn't eat enough fruits and vegetables. That is not the case. But yes, but there is another problem of people just receiving good nutrition because of where they live.
Which is all just tied into general healthcare and
I mean, it's holistic.
It's
the idea that many different factors can affect your health, and that could be one of them. And so if somebody, I think especially if somebody has the desire to eat the kinds of foods that they maybe can't afford, because I mean, the one woman they were talking to, she lives on like, I think it was like $607 a month fixed. I mean,
that's her whole budget.
That's her whole budget for her entire month, rent, food, everything. So when you have that little an income in America, in our brutally capitalist society,
well, and it's very difficult for medical industry to turn a profit on that kind of an in-income. So
who's going to help these poor pharmaceutical
and whose fault is that
clients?
really?
Exactly.
She needs to pull herself up by her bootstraps.
Oh my God. I just like that it's like we're getting closer to like taking a step back and looking at things like, oh my God, our patients are human beings and they are complex and they have needs that are exceed the boundaries of the medical office.
That sounds like the diabetes talking to her.
New study concludes the patients are people.
We're getting there, people.
What was the old expression I always heard on the internet? Oh yeah, that's right. You sound fat.
Naturally.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's something. Press that. It's something, people. We're getting there day by day.
It's the best we got.
New York Times piece by New York Times piece. Doctor Having Awakening by Doctor Having Awakening. And I think that we're holding hands now. We had a moment and we're going into Fat Watch.
It's happening. We're there.
Do you feel it? You feel the change?
I feel invigorated.
I can see so much from up here.
Probably not. But This was exciting. So is this from a listener? I'm guessing.
Yes,
I
this
think
was
I
sent
know
in.
which listener.
You probably do. This was sent in by a listener. I'll just read you the headline real quick and then we can talk about it. Seattle Queer Film Festival will open with a documentary on a local burlesque festival. And the cool thing about this is that is not only is it person of color centric and queer centric, but it is also fat centric. Basically, fat burlesque dancers who decided to make a space for themselves. And there was a documentary made about them, which is premiering at this film festival, which is just super, super cool. And I love that. The article itself focuses around the name of the festival is What the Funk. And the reason we're bringing it up is because it is happening in Seattle, Cinema Egyptian, starting on October 13th, which I think is the week prior to this episode coming out, but it continues through October 23rd.
Yes.
So I suppose you might miss.
You got 4 more days if you're in the Seattle area.
That's right.
I mean,
we were a little late on the uptake on this one.
I just love it because I would say just because like my entree into burlesque has been nerd burlesque, which I feel like is more diverse in terms of bodies, but to me it is very white and very straight.
Yeah.
So I think this is just, I was excited to see this. I'm excited to see that this exists and that like, I guess the pandemic hasn't killed burlesque, because when I saw this, that was something that's like, oh, I feel like that could have been one of those casualties you wouldn't necessarily know about until, I don't know. I mean, unless you're a burlesque connoisseur.
Yeah. It's super cool. The article focuses around Mix Pucks Aplenty, the film's principal and the founder of What the Funk Burlesque Festival. And it sort of talks about their sort of path to finding burlesque and feeling like, this is clearly not a space for me because I see nobody who looks like me. Mm-hmm. And then they, as a Black queer fat person, basically started this and created a space for other people like them to perform burlesque and have like a whole celebration around it. Mm-hmm. And it's super, super cool. And that is why they are on Fat Watch.
Yay.
It's very exciting. Well, so this week for our main topic, this came up a little bit during our self-care and share, but we were also just talking about it and during kind of our weekly Zoom call. Feet. Fat feet. Foot care.
Yep.
Yeah,
shoes. Fashion. Dancing. Ballrooms.
Feet. Who needs them?
It's the body part that no one likes to talk about. Like, no one likes to focus on. Well,
the feet are listening.
Most people don't like to focus on feet. I probably should put in.
There are a lot of people.
There's
who
plenty
love
of
to focus
people
on
who-
feet.
It's probably one of the most common kinks out there. The foot fetish, like maybe right behind like S&M. But
I mean, this isn't sexy foot talk.
No.
I mean, it might
Why
be.
not?
It's not intended to be sexy. I'm not trying to kink shame anyone, but it's like, this is just like, general foot
I've
discussion.
got feet. What do I do with them?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's particularly apt for us because number one, if you're really fat, you sometimes don't have a lot of contact with your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And two, if you're like Trevor, it's just your feet are hard to fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My big old feet.
The paddles. The
Can I
snowshoes.
Can I tell my story when I was in Germany?
Yes. I feel like you've told it before, but tell it again.
Okay, so
if you haven't.
I was leading a seminar in Germany, in Berlin, and I don't know how we got on the subject, but it was talking about my husband and his feet, and he has really big feet, and he has trouble finding shoes because he needs really wide shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman from Austria goes, "Oh yeah, like baby coffins." And I'm like, oh, never heard it described quite like that. But yes, I suppose he does need a set of baby coffins. She was quite
I'm going to go
amused.
shopping for my next set of footwear at a mortuary.
She was quite amused by her own joke. And
I'm
was like,
actually imagining myself now with like little baby coffin slippers clunking down the
I don't know if this is an
stairs.
Austrian idiom or common description.
Maybe
but-
she's just weird.
or she's weird.
It's just
Yeah,
entirely
I
possible.
kind of want some plush baby coffin slippers now.
So what does one do if they have trouble? Where should we start? Where should we focus on? Shoes?
Let me ask a stupid question. We can be really quick about it. Dan, Michael, Trevor, what are your experiences with your own feet? Do you have a good relationship with your feet?
I tolerate my feet. I mean, it's not that like I want them. Like
Let me tell you.
I'll do everything I can to keep them. But it's like I have never really had comfortable shoes
Yeah.
throughout my life.
Because they're really wide feet.
Throughout the
when
sizes
you've
I've
got
been,
wide feet, it's hard to do that.
and just like I always, I don't know, just had big feet, and it's always been like a thing to find footwear that fits.
I mean,
Yeah,
it might help to just say that, like, baby, you're built like a pony. Like you
Yes.
have these really big
Show
hands
pony.
and feet. Show pony. Yeah. Really big hands and feet, but you're only 5'6" tall.
Yes. No. So I wear like a 12.5 6E.
But you don't need that 12 length, though, do you?
No, I do.
You do. Okay.
I was wearing 13 6E for a while because it gave me a little bit extra width.
Yeah.
I mean, so one thing I would say is if you are, regardless of your size, if you have wide feet, if you can find a shoe store that specializes in bigger shoes, you will probably find out that your width is more than you thought. Because I was initially wearing, I think, 4E before I found out I have 6E feet, and it was just very uncomfortable.
They just fit in 4AC.
That's a good suggestion. I've been wearing Triple E literally my entire life. As long as I can remember buying shoes, it's always been Triple E, but I haven't remeasured since I was a teenager. So maybe the time is now.
Well, and you mentioned a website, Don. Was it McCullough Shoes?
It's wideshoes.com, which is McCullough.
Okay. But we found a different solution, which I think you might want to drop in here.
Yes. So I mean, I was just kind of throwing not my feet up, but my hands up in the air, like very frustrated.
Casting toes to the wind.
And Dan actually took charge and found this place in LA called Community Made, which they do custom shoes. And we're like, well, I wonder if they would do like custom in terms of sizing.
And I just want to interject here. So we had investigated custom shoes before, but most of the custom shoe places are for people who want, really snazzy custom dress shoes.
Fine Italian leather.
Fine Italian leather. And they start just to get the last, which is what you call the mold for the shoe. Like the last was $2,000. And and then the shoe is after that.
Yeah.
And then the shoe is like $5,000 on top of that.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. Like, no, absolutely not. But these were very affordable. I mean,
comparatively.
Comparatively.
Okay. So we went to them. They're like, yeah, we can do a custom shoe. I stepped in a box. They took measurements. They built a last. I will say that it was a very long process because they had not done something this level of custom before. I mean, they had done custom shoes, but like not where they are.
What they specialize in is, let's say that you're a person and you just want a cool pair of sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want like custom stitching, or like fit is not your issue. Your issue is design. So they're really good at making really amazing designs. And I think a custom pair there starts at like what, $400?
Yes, but that includes the last.
It includes the last. It includes fittings. And so once you have the last, you can get future footwear for much cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
It did take a long time, but they put a lot of work into it, and kind of, it was a learning experience for me for like going through this process of like, what the hell is it like to get custom shoes? And it was a learning experience for them. When I was going through it, I had someone ask me from out of state, like, oh, do you think they could do it out of state? And I think they could, but I think it would be a longer process, and I think it would maybe not.
So Trevor, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I have always bought off the rack shoes, right? And I know when I'm doing a lot of walking, the first thing to cause pain is the feet, right? Now, they're never the things that make me fold. For me, it's my knees. The knees are the things that eventually make me give up. But that just means I'm used to struggling through foot pain and exhaustion and aches and stuff. So what was it like for you to go from over-the-counter shoes to something custom made? Did it make a serious difference for you? Is it something that
it did? And I have been doing the fat guy New Balance for a long time.
Because New Balance provides just nice wide shoes, right?
Yeah.
And good support. They're durable, and that's my go-to over the counter.
Yeah.
They're fine.
They're fine.
Trevor says unsatisfactorily. They're fine.
No, because the issue that I would have before I got the custom shoes was I would roll my ankle frequently because my feet would be hanging over the sides of the shoes.
Again, going back to the pony metaphor, it's that his feet are so wide, they are wider than the sole of the shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which was a big learning curve for the custom people, is like really understanding that like, no, like I need I can't have my feet hanging over the sides.
Right.
You literally fall off the soles.
I mean, I was running into that. It's not the same issue, but I realized recently that the cleats that I wear for soccer were a half size too large. But because of that, I kept rolling my ankle. And obviously it's a different kind of wear and tear, but I got injured repeatedly until I recently bought a pair of cleats that's actually the right size. And I was like, holy crap, that makes a difference. Like the
Made
ankle
a
support.
serious change for you?
Yeah, just this stability and the ankle support. And I'm like rehabbing injuries, trying like not to continue to roll
think
my
about
ankle.
that was a half a size change making that big a difference for you.
Can I also, I'm going to tell a story, but it's a little dark.
Uh-oh.
We okay with that?
We're going dark.
We're going dark.
Oh, I think I know what the story is.
So
How dark are we talking?
dark.
Okay.
And
I think it's important though, because I think
It is.
it's very much about like, I think there is a fine line between, as like a larger person, like accepting different aches and pains and
Yeah.
like being blind to them and like
Yeah.
la la
well,
la.
let me tell the
yeah.
story so that makes some sense. And I think, Trevor is really good about not complaining to a fault. So that if he were, I wouldn't know if he were dying because he wouldn't complain about it. And so, and I think a lot of people and a lot of fat people are sort of, well, I'm in pain, but of course I'm in pain. And some people even rationalize it, well, of course I'm fat. So of course I'm in pain. And they tend to ignore this stuff.
Well, and also you don't want to bring attention to yourself.
Exactly.
And,
Like, why would you trumpet this?
Of course.
Or if if you've been brought up in medical fat phobia, where like, well, of course it's your weight because that's the only thing it could be.
Yeah. Sometimes complaining about it will get you yelled at. By
Exactly.
people.
So a friend of mine, he was just used to, I mean, he doesn't have particularly unusual feet, but he was always, he was very stylish and fat. And so he would put his feet in these smaller shoes, and his feet would often ache, but he thought, oh, well, it's just, the sacrifice I make for my fashionable shoes. Right.
Okay.
And he kept doing this and he kept doing this and he kept doing this. And, after a few years, he figured he got used to it because he didn't feel the pain of his shoes anymore.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you can see where this is going. And what it was that his feet had gone numb, but for him, that was an improvement. He didn't perceive it as numb. He perceived it as my feet don't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
Where it went was the fact that he had severe diabetes and ended up losing one of his feet because he couldn't feel it rotting.
Oh boy.
And so this isn't a diabetes commercial. This is a pay attention to your body commercial. And sometimes that starts in the feet.
I think as fat people, we do, it's just to underline what both you and Trevor have just said. We have a tendency to push our pain to the back because we don't want to slow other people down, because we don't want to complain. We don't want to be the squeaky wheel, or we just think that's life. Right.
And I also want to follow up here to make sure people get the point. It's not that being fat equals getting diabetes. It's that in his case, being fat meant ignoring the pain, because diabetes is extremely treatable. It's very, very, very treatable. And he did not have to lose the foot. But in ignoring stuff and just suffering for his fashion, as it turned out, is what he thought he was doing. That has some consequences.
I mean, I would also, so I have experience with custom shoes. I also have experience with getting custom orthotics, which is a huge game changer in terms of just like having the support your feet need.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little during the self-care and sugar about like if you're fat and you have issues with like support and your insole and everything, I think it is worth, if you can, looking into like finding a podiatrist and getting custom orthotics, because the off the rack stuff is not going to give you the support you need. And I was nervous going to the podiatrist for the first time because I was expecting to be like, oh, well, you're fat. Of course your feet hurt. You're fat. Lose weight, fatty. And she was just so nice and super chill.
She's wonderful.
And
I started going to her.
Yeah. And just like, so not like has never brought up my weight as a thing.
That's impressive.
And was like, oh, well, like your feet, like your feet don't have any shape when you stand on them.
Which, if you've seen Trevor's feet, is kind of true.
Like I have no, like I'm flat footed.
No arch.
Yeah. Just because like, well,
this may be overstating it a little bit, but I'm wondering if like a podiatrist has to know, like, your feet are kind of your gateway to most forms of physical fitness and exercise, right? If you can't physically get to where you're going to do something, if you can't, what doesn't involve your feet?
Well, and it also can be the genesis of knee problems,
Exactly.
hip problems,
It's the
spine
foundation
problems,
for the way you
neck
stand,
problems,
for the way you walk, for all these things. So I feel like a podiatrist, if they know their work, if they know their business, they should have their shit together and be able to help people of many different sizes find the correct support they need to do the things that all the other medical people are telling you should be doing anyway.
No,
So,
she's been wonderful.
I've also found that like most specialty doctors are when I've gone to a specialist for something, they have been not fat phobic. As when I instead of like when I go to a general physician, they have all been fat phobic.
I think maybe that's because the specialist sees this same condition over and over and over and over again, much more frequently than a general practitioner, and therefore sees that, oh, it's not just the fat people who have it.
I mean, maybe. I just like podiatrist, the urologist was amazing. Oh my God, that was a wonderful experience during a very terrible, terrible time.
So I have discovered the importance of arch support.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Michael,
This
tell us
year.
about your feet. Like, I know you've had foot issues.
I've had feet for so long now. No, so a lot of it's been a whole struggle playing soccer as an adult, having stopped for 10 years and not really gotten much exercise. And then all of the injuries that come along with that, yada, yada, yada. Was wearing a pair of like nice sort of like Nike running shoes, but I wore them out, didn't realize I'd worn them out. And so as I'm walking around in these shoes, I don't have any arch support. And eventually playing soccer, I took a step that was the wrong step and felt this like searing pain in my heel, which I remember I had as a kid too. And nobody knew what it was. So shout out to just like general access to information.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like nobody knew what was wrong with my foot when I was a kid. It was clearly plantar fasciitis.
I mean, it's like obviously,
but nobody knew that at the time.
Which apparently is the number one cause for foot pain in the United States.
I believe it. It's easy to get.
you know what I can see? I can see it in a certain era. They were like, oh, you're 10. You couldn't possibly have that.
Well, and they couldn't figure out what was, because it would go away. Like it wasn't constant. It would just happen while I was playing soccer. Anyway, so I stopped playing, rehabbing my foot, and got firm arch support, which is this was the development for me because they have like the soft gel inserts that you can put into your shoes. That didn't do it. Like that wasn't actually helping. What I needed was the like molded, like sort of firm.
Were those the ones you borrowed from me? Or was it something else?
No, I bought these on Amazon.
Okay.
Maybe.
Because they have these little pieces of molded plastic. They just go in the arch of the foot, and they usually attach with Velcro straps.
Oh, I did get those a while ago.
Yeah.
And those helped also.
Yeah, I've used those when I have little periods because I know if you don't treat it immediately, it will only get worse. Or you can just stay off your feet for a month.
Having figured out that, there's a lot of things that need to be done. And if I had paid closer attention to my feet, I could have prevented much of this. Similarly, when I started playing soccer again, my, I think like these muscles here are hip abductor muscles. Is that right?
He's pointing to his inner thighs, which are your
Somebody
adductors.
Adductors,
because think of it as adding together, so they pull your thighs together.
Right. So I kept injuring those every time, like whenever I play soccer again, and finally had to get like compression like things and wraps, and I was only able to play with those. And then finally, when I got plantar fasciitis recently and couldn't really walk, I was paying really close attention to my gait while I was walking because I wanted to make really, really sure that I was taking steps that were going to rehab my foot and not make it worse. And I realized that my gait was such that I wasn't using my hip abductors at all. Like I was just walking more sort of like a shuffle kind of walk.
Side to side.
And which doesn't engage those muscles. And of course I was going to be injuring them because they were never being used. And since having changed my gait and like engaging those muscles more and rehabbing my foot, I don't even need to wear straps anymore. It's like fine. So that's another one of those like pay close attention to what your body is telling you.
So basically, the foot pain for you was an opportunity to figure out what you were doing wrong with your gait and try and work on correcting it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way of looking at most of these pains, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Dan, how do you feel about your feet?
I like my No, my issues with my feet center around the nail. So so this happened to me. I'd had surgery. I had rotator cuff surgery, which took me out of the gym, took me out of walking for a little while. And then I got bad into walking. And just when I was about to get right back into the swim of things, boom, COVID hit. Everything shuts down. Go nowhere. And because I was wrestling with a shoulder problem, right, from the rotator cuff surgery, I bought this pair of Skechers. And yes, they're incredibly comfortable. Yes, I know people swear by Skechers, and so do I. But I bought them because I could just slip into them. I didn't have to tie anything.
Yeah.
And the problem was that they didn't provide any support back to front. So my foot, like if I went for a walk, my foot was constantly pushing, my toes were kind of pushing against the front, the inside front of the.
That's the kiss of death for a shoe for me.
Yeah. And so, but it wasn't painful, or if it was painful, like, once every other week or whatever. But then I had this toe fungus. I go to the podiatrist, the nice one that Trevor mentioned, and she took a sample because she said, "How'd you get the fungus?" I'm like, "I don't know. Don't people just get fungus?" And she says, "No.
You have to go acquire it.
You have to go acquire it somewhere. It doesn't just form spontaneously in old shoes." And so she took a sample and she gave it to the lab, and I go back and she says, "You don't actually have foot fungus.
Okay.
You don't have nail fungus. She says, as near as I can tell, what's happened is your toenail has detached from the nail bed. So instead of growing out where you trim it off every so often, you know how you trim your toenails, instead of growing out, it's sort of humping up on itself because it's not growing across the floor of the nail bed."
Right.
And so I've been trying to figure out ways to not, and I'm like, well, I said, "So it's just cosmetic?" And she says, "Yeah, basically.
Oh.
But there's nothing to do for it." She says, "I really don't want to cut off your nail." And even then you hope it grows back correctly because it doesn't have to.
Oh,
basically, but basically I'm trying to get my toenail to reattach to the nail, but it's not painful. It just doesn't, it looks like I have toe fungus.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you've changed your shoes.
Yes, I have. And I also found a new way to tie my shoes. Oh, it's very exciting.
A new way to tie your shoes?
Yeah. So I was watching this YouTube video, as one does. And
like I said, access to information.
access to information. So right. And so, all right, you might have noticed on some pairs of shoes, there are those two little eyelets really close to the ankle. Like they're not the normal spacing. Yeah. They're really close. And you think, well, and maybe you don't use the top one because you think maybe, that's the optional one. That's it's like the championship tees on a golf course and the regular tees on the golf course. And no, so this YouTuber tells me that what you do is you create a loop between those two, and then you pass the laces through those loops and tie them at the top. And what it does is if you can imagine now, those two eyelets are providing closure together because they're being bound by what you're tying. Am I saying this well?
I think I get what you're saying.
I get
it's
it.
real. I mean, I'm gesturing a lot, so hopefully
We'll link to the video.
We'll link to the video. I'll do it on camera. It'll be so exciting.
Ooh.
I mean, that kind of reminds me of the issue I was having with my old cleats where I was rolling my ankle and I realized a lot of the support from tying my shoe at the top wasn't helping because the inserts I had in my shoes were pushing them taller. And so the wrong part of my foot was being cinched into place by the laces. And I was basically slipping off the sole of the shoe sideways and it would roll my ankle. Anyway, I feel like that's enough shoe talk for today, right? Does anybody else have any closing thoughts?
Only a really good pun.
Oh boy.
I mean, I'll just say, so I have a foot sander I love to use. I use that.
It's a buffer. Like it looks like
it's a sander.
It's a sander. It's not like a belt sander, but it has, if you can imagine a handle with a roller.
It looks basically
Like
like
a
a
lint
paint
roller.
roller
Yeah, that's
with
tiny.
a pumice stone roller.
Thank you.
That is motorized.
Yeah, that's good. And it's motorized. So it's, and it just sands the crap out of his feet.
And when I'm like really on top of it, my feet are so smooth. That's actually a little dangerous.
I was told, by the way, I was asking Michael for foot tips. Bombas socks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about them before on the podcast.
Yeah.
Bombas, Bombas, I think.
Yeah.
They're stylish and they have grip.
Yeah.
They
So
have
when
grip.
you sanded your feet to be smooth as
Exactly.
I don't know, a baby's
Suddenly-
egg.
Suddenly Trevor has less traction than a dress shoe.
Smooth as a dead baby.
There have been times where my feet have been so smooth and soft that I've like slipped on the carpet and almost died.
At
Well,
my-
I think you were also lotioned too. No?
No.
Oh, boy.
At my old place, we had a wood floor, sort of like a very new smooth wood floor. And Michael would wear, before I got him Bombas, he would wear his regular socks. And he would do this like penguin walk because he would be like his feet would just slide. And if we ever like stopped to like lean at the counter and talk to Julia Max, I could just see him getting shorter and shorter because his feet were sliding out to the side.
The weirdest thing at your second apartment after Highland. Anyway, you had this apartment where the bathroom floors were super slick. I'd be standing there peeing and my legs would slowly be sliding to either side. I'd literally have to correct like twice.
And you were wearing shoes, weren't you?
No, I was wearing socks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Anyway, what makes the Bombas so special is they have a tread to them.
Yeah, they have little grips. They come in big, bright, fun colors, and they donate a pair. I think each pair you buy, they donate a pair. So you can feel good about it.
Yay.
Anyway, we have a tip today as well.
Tip.
Yes, we do.
Na.
It's spooky season. Maybe you're not feeling spooky yet. And
We can fix that.
yeah, former podcast guest Bree, who was on episode 54, Bummers and Bees. Maybe you remember that one. We talked about sex toys, but Bree does tarot readings, and Bree actually specializes. They use Uno cards for their tarot readings.
That's
that's
cute.
fun.
And for spooky season, you can get a free little magic jar with your tarot reading.
What's in a magic jar?
Bree is gonna go through with like the intentions you have for this magic jar
Okay.
and grind up some spices and little things
Ooh.
and put them in a little jar and put it in the snail mail for you. You get a free mini magic jar, every tarot reading from Bree
Nice.
in October. Go to Bree, BREE, is helpful.af.com/book-a-session. Also check out, follow Bree on Instagram at Bree is helpful AF.
That's right. And before we get to our bit, I just wanted to reiterate that we're going to be watching Piggy on streaming for our Halloween episode coming up on the 26th. So if you want to check that out and be in on the conversation, you can, or you can just listen. We'll do a little summary and before we talk about it on the actual episode. But you can join us in that. Okay.
We got a bit. We
foot
got a
bit.
bit for this Wednesday podcast listener, Tuesday afternoon us.
Yeah.
Well, I brought a footbit for today, seeing as though it's part of our topic. And there's a lot of trivia out there about feet. A lot.
Oh, a lot of
I don't believe that.
a lot of footnotes, huh?
The audience can actually hear the low, cold stare I'm giving you right now.
Oh, I got better.
Let's get to it.
All right. So here's just a free trivia bit. I just thought this was interesting. During your lifetime, it's likely that you'll walk approximately 115,000 miles. That's like circling the globe on foot over 4 times.
I don't think I'm going to make that.
Well, we're going to get you a Fitbit, Trevor, and we're going to get you on track.
But what if you were on Scooty?
I don't think that counts. Scooty, I would double that.
So I will admit I don't know a lot about feet. So thank you to nyfoothealth.com for your kind contribution to our podcast today. All right. There are 206 bones in the human body in total. What percentage of those bones can be found in a human foot?
8.
6%, 10%, 15%, or 25%?
I'm going to say 15%.
We got a 15 over there.
Oh, you got little toe joints, don't you?
You do.
I'm going to say 15 also.
I think it might be the Goldilocks percentage.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for 15.
Oh, we got 3 going with 15. And you know what? You're all wrong.
Oh,
No.
All of you are wrong.
what is it?
1/4 of the human's
No.
bodies, of the human's bones are contained within your feet. Plural.
A quarter?
A quarter.
Well, we just used to be feet, so that makes sense.
There are 26 bones in each foot, totaling 52. There are 206 to 213 bones in the adult body.
Oh, well, yeah, if you count both feet. I wasn't counting.
Each foot also has 33 joints, 107 ligaments, and 10 tendons, and 19 muscles. Ooh.
How much
Right.
blood, though?
All right. So here's a weird one. Did you know that not everyone has toenails that grow the same length? There are certain conditions under which everyone's toenails grow faster.
Like each individual toe has a different toenail growth
No,
speed.
every person has
Okay.
individual factors
I
that
like my version
contribute to your
better.
toenail growth.
I thought this was like part of the Halloween theme or something.
So, which of these people have the slowest growing toenails?
Oh.
People in summer, teenagers, senior citizens, or pregnant women?
I'm going to go with seniors.
The
Pregnant women.
slowest.
Slowest.
I don't know. I want to say maybe pregnant women.
All right. The correct answer is senior citizens.
Ding, 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 ding. I win.
For some reason, your toenails grow faster in summertime when you're pregnant and during your teenage years.
Yeah,
You just
that-
get more.
That all makes sense to me because it's a metabolic process. And my barber swears that people's hair grows more in summer. So I figured the toenails do too.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, speaking of reasons why not to pull off your toenails, Dan.
Yes, why?
If
Give
you
me a
removed
reason,
it-
Don. Give me a reason.
If you removed it, how long would it take for your toenail to grow back?
Oh, shit.
All right. Would it take 3 to 4 months, 6 to 8 months, 8 to 12 months, or 12 to 18 months?
I'm going to say 8 to 12.
I'm going to say 12 to 18.
I know there's a 12 in the answer. 12 to 18.
Okay.
All right. We got our answers in, and the correct answer is 12 to 18
Ding,
months.
ding, 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 ding,
Wow.
ding, ding.
Yeah. So it's interesting also, again, there are lots of factors that can affect that. So like, I know
Whether it's summer.
my dad has diabetes. He had to have a foot toenail removed, and it's like, he's like 2 years in now. It's still no toenail. Like,
Yeah.
Whoa.
It can
I mean,
take a while.
I would thought there was going to be something because my mom had a toenail removed at some point and just never came back.
Yeah.
Oh.
She just has a weird, it looks weird. It's like a flat little toe top.
So Trevor, if listeners wanted to tell us about their feet,
Send feet pics too.
Michael
We're-
Willer at
We're on Instagram and Twitter as @BigFatGayPod. Please don't send us feed pics. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. See the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com.
Yeah. Take us home.
Maybe your foot. We're at the dawn of time. You're a foot that's coming.
Just a foot.
It's kind of hopping out of the ocean. You made it, but there's feet dinosaurs, and they're hungry. So
Watch out. That was quite the picture we painted.